Hey everybody, I'm Curtis.
And I'm Hannah.
And this is Love at First Fright.
Guess who's back? Back again.
It is as the prophecies foretold.
Oh, we're doing this again?
Huh? we did this before?
I'm pretty sure we have a now recurring witch character and her sister.
Hey! Guess who's back?
Back again.
It's us.
Oh, we're sorry. It's been a minute.
I'm not sorry.
I am.
Life, finds a way.
Well, you think that would mean we'd make the podcast more if life finds a way?
No, life finds a way, as in life finds a way to absolutely derail everything you had planned. No, we took a little in heavy quotes.
It's been, I think
It's been
since October since we put out an episode.
It's been a minute. No, we went kind of a little bit on. Would hiatus be?
Yeah.
Appropriate? Sabbatical. That feels right.
Yeah. We'll say we took a sabbatical.
Yeah.
And it's been chock-a-block full, let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, I think we stopped because, the November was the month before us getting married.
Yeah.
So it was literally
that was when everything was going on.
Yeah. So it very quickly shifted into this, every day we're fielding phone calls and texting with people to plan stuff and figure out stuff.
Things.
Yeah, we're trying to make stuff. We made little cake toppers.
Yeah.
That we didn't end up using.
We put them out as decorations.
They ended up becoming decorations. They were part of the event, but they didn't get used as cake toppers because we made them and
they were way too big.
They were way too big for the cake that we
Yeah. It would have been comical.
It would have been very funny. But yeah, we were crafting stuff and rehearsals and just everything that we were trying to do.
Fittings for the dress.
And so then we finally got married December 7th.
Yep. Whoop whoop.
2025.
Yep.
It's easy to remember.
Because Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, well, okay, yes. That is the easy way to remember it. I was going to do...
What were you going to do?
I was going to say if you take 2... No, I can't remember.
Find it.
It was a math equation with the numbers in it, but I don't remember what it is now. Which you might be thinking, oh, you can't even remember the math equation, so it's not really easy to remember it. But the fact that I remember it was a math equation means I lock in and say it's December 7th, 2025 every time. So I know I don't have to know the math, I know the answer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't have to show my work.
This isn't fucking school.
Yeah, give me an A.
This is real life.
I'm hacking into the mainframe and changing my report card.
And we came from the school of hard knocks.
You're not getting me.
That's what they call the streets.
Yeah. I went to Jack Black's school.
Really?
Yeah, the music one.
Oh, I thought you were dropping lore that the school you went to is also where Jack Black went to school.
No, I don't actually know if you did or did not. I would be surprised.
I would be surprised too, which is why I said, really?
Just lore dropping. Yeah, I knew Jack Black, no big deal.
You're not the same age. I'm not saying it would have been...
He couldn't just show up, class reunion, he came by one day and he was like, hey, I'm Jack Black in here.
Do you know who Jack Black is?
Yeah, you would do that.
Seems like you don't know how old he is, what his accent is. Yeah.
He's there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I may or may not be from the same school Jack Black went to.
Yeah, it's a light no, but it's still possible until we confirm it.
And I'm not going to confirm it.
Nope. We're going to live our lives that is true.
Yep. So, anyway, Jack Black, reach out if you're not busy.
You want to be on the pod?
We'll connect.
Has Jack Black been in any horror movies?
I don't know.
I feel like that's not really his brand.
No, I don't think so. Obviously comedies, but he's done some romantic
Yeah.
stuff as well, but romantic comedies
Right.
typically.
What about
So-
this new Anaconda?
I guess
movie?
Anaconda, you'd have to look up the genre. I mean, it's
Is it
definitely like kind of
considered
like,
horror?
I think it's a meta thing on it, but I don't, that doesn't mean it's not horror. It could be. I don't know.
Right.
I haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it either.
So I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Yep.
So maybe that is his entry. Maybe he's going to do it.
Now this
You
is
know.
when he gets weird with it.
But
And he
this-
starts Nick Caging all over the horror genre.
I would love it.
Me too.
I have been saying for a long time that more actors and actresses need to get into horror and
Lend your talent.
just start doing it.
There's good projects out there, but they just
Yeah.
don't have the funds.
And that's why Nick Cage is in so many of them, because he's just like, yeah, I'll be in your movie.
I'm rich enough. I'm going to do what I
I'll
want.
do what I want. I'll be in your movie for like next to nothing, low
Yep.
budget thing or whatever, just to get it made,
Yep.
because he likes doing it. Anyway, but yeah, so we got married. That was the biggest thing, and then it was just a bunch of other stuff. Work,
Sickness.
insane run on being sick.
Yeah, we sort of gave each other like back and forth.
It was
gross
a
colds.
furious game of ping pong.
Yeah.
On who was sick and getting the other one sick. Like one of
Right.
us would be. I think I probably started it.
You usually do.
And so like I think I got sick, and then like I was coming out of it, and then you got sick, and then I got sick with something else, and then I think you maybe got like a little touch of it, but not quite as severe as I got. And then the seasons were changing, so my allergy started acting up, and also I have asthma, so anything respiratory just takes even longer for me to get
Yep.
through. So
And then I had that migraine that lasted for like 4 days.
yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just been like, a whirlwind of stuff, and just like keeping us from being able to like actually record anything.
Yeah. We haven't even honestly watched that many movies. We've watched more than we have put out episodes, but
Yeah.
we haven't been watching our same volume that we normally do.
Yeah. But we've reinvigorated.
Yes.
We're starting up again.
We're back.
Yeah. We're also we've been watching a lot of our cooking shows.
Always.
That's honestly what's getting us through.
Yep.
Is just the different, iterations.
Every day I wake up, I go to work, and about halfway through, I think Guy Fieri's going to be there for me when I
I
get
wonder
home.
what Guy Fieri is doing right now. And we started watching this new one that like just started airing.
Yeah, I think there's
lately.
only like 3 or 4 episodes so far.
And it's called Flavortown Food Fight.
Flavortown Food Fight.
And as you would imagine, Guy Fieri hosting.
Yes.
And the premise of this is we're at Flavortown Town Square.
Yeah, it's just called Flavortown Square, according to the
Square.
banners.
Okay. And this kind of started, I think, as a joke with us, but I have now fully bought into the conspiracy that I think we have stumbled into with
Right.
this show. So everyone knows Guy Fieri is Flavortown. Everything he does is Flavortown.
Everything's Flavortown.
He also loves naming shows with alliteration. It's always triple something. So triple D
Yep.
for diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Triple G.
Triple G for guys' grocery games, and now we have triple F.
Yes.
Flavortown Food Fight. Tournament of Champions doesn't fall in that, but he does frequently shorten it to TOC. So he is
Yeah.
a fiend for just saying alphabet letters.
He loves letters.
Anyway, but the lore on this one, everyone's familiar, generally speaking, with guys' grocery games. People are in a supermarket, they shop around, they play fucked up games that Guy Fieri has invented
Yeah.
in his demented mind. And now he's got his son Hunter helping him, which is
Right.
like a whole nother thing.
I feel like he's kind of soft launching
Yes.
Hunter as his replacement one day.
Yeah. Whenever he's too weak to continue on, Hunter
Right.
will then pick up.
Yes.
But then it's going to ruin all the alliteration.
I know.
They're going to have to either cancel it and do new ones, and it's going to be Hunter's grocery games.
It'll still be Guys' grocery games. It'll just be... It'll be Hunter being
it'll be
like, my dad.
It'll be a shell of what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, but Flavortown Food Fight is...
It's an insane concept because they have constructed a set that contains like a town square area with restaurants and food carts and a park and like apartments in the background and all of this stuff. And they are building out the extended Guy Fieri cinematic universe
Yes.
by creating his own town that he is canonically the mayor of.
Yes.
There's a mayor's office, and he is the mayor. He always starts the episodes delivering a speech to his
constituents.
serfs.
Let's call it what it is. Yeah, you're right.
And they keep like lore dropping these little things. We're so invested now.
It's the funniest thing because it's truly like they will just be talking about whatever they're about to be cooking or whatever, and he'll just throw away a little one-liner.
Yeah, he'll be like, oh, Flavortown Market is just 4 blocks that away, and I'm like, oh, okay, so
we
now
can map it out.
Now we know that this is just one part of Flavortown, and there's more to Flavortown.
Yes, and it's great because one of the best parts about Flavortown Food Fight is that they have insisted on. I think it's to make it so it's not this uncanny valley like weird. We're on like a set that looks very realistic,
right?
As much as it can anyway.
Sure.
But then there's literally no one in it.
It's just an empty ghost town.
They have just stacked it out with extras.
There's so many extras.
So they're just always in the background sitting at tables having conversations, but they're not actually talking because you don't want to pick that up.
Peas and carrots, peas and carrots.
Yeah. And they're just, silently saying that.
Yeah.
They'll have like B-roll of them like walking past the restaurants and looking into them.
Being like, oh, we should go there.
Importantly, none of the restaurants have people in them.
Never.
And the restaurants are like only the actual kitchen part of the restaurant. There's like never seating inside.
The only one that has the seating is the fine dining restaurant, which has a few tables in it. But every other one, no tables.
Yeah, there's like food carts, and there's a fine dining one. There's like a fast casual place.
There's like an Italian spot.
Yeah, and I think in this last one they had like a sandwich place, which I think is like, I think they change out like the names of them or whatever, because obviously the set can't be infinite, or it can. Maybe they are in an actual town. I don't know. We haven't gotten that far in the lore yet.
Yeah.
But truly, it's every episode they're dropping like little tidbits to like really fill out what Flavortown is. Like he dropped a joke about it being the national like holiday of Crunch Day, which was the theme of the episode, which implies that Flavortown is not a city.
It's a sovereign nation.
It's a nation. But then Guy is only the mayor of it. So is there someone above him?
There's someone above Guy.
Or is he trying to do that thing where he's like, I'm not a king. I'm not some dictator. I'm your humble mayor.
I'm just your mayor.
Yeah, but no.
Yeah.
In the first episode, he's wearing a tearaway suit. It's really obvious that that's what it is.
It was a crazy look.
It looks really bad, but he tears it off. It's so good. And one of the best parts is that Hunter Fieri is also on this show, because you can't have a Guy Fieri property anymore without Hunter also being a part of it. He's just going to be there. But Guy is always wearing his signature, like acid wash jeans and usually some atrociously patterned shirt and just way too much shiny jewelry and his hair and, Guy. You know him. We love him.
If you don't know him, take a second,
pause the podcast and go look him up.
Go look him up so you can get a visual, because this is important. Imagine this man being the mayor of your town.
It's crazy. Welcome back. I assume several hours later, after you've had to kind of like sit with that knowledge. Anyway, his son, Hunter, is there, but in other shows like Guy's Grocery Games, Hunter comes onto the set and he's usually like helping present a game in some way, but he's just a guy.
Yeah, he's just like, he's the co-host.
In Flavortown Food Fight, Hunter is almost exclusively wearing uniforms,
little uniforms,
depending on the restaurant that they're going to cook in. Which again implies that Hunter is working at every one of these restaurants all of the time.
Right.
That have no one actually eating at them except for maybe the extras. I don't know. We never really see them doing anything but talking and walking around.
Right.
They're certainly not eating anything in Flavortown, which is a wild choice, I think.
Yeah.
But then because Guy's always dressed up in his signature outfits, just normal guy clothes, it kind of suggests that he's making Hunter do this, or Hunter really likes just working at all of these jobs.
Right. So now we're convinced that Hunter Fieri actually harbors a deep grudge and resentment towards his father for forcing him to work every single restaurant in Flavortown Square.
Yeah.
And this has gotten us to a political plot.
Yes. We fully, like, now welcome you to our spin-off movie.
Yes.
From this.
Which was Time to Die, Guy.
That would be good.
That would be good.
It was I am Hunter Fieri and I'm going to assassinate my father.
Yes.
Like, I think that was a full working title that we had for it at one point.
Similar to If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You.
Yeah.
Only
like a modern masterpiece, kind of Oscar bait.
My name is Hunter Fieri and I am going to assassinate my father.
I think we could get Adam Driver for Hunter.
To play Hunter
Fieri. I think he would kill it. I don't know who's going to play Guy.
Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, man. Imagine him doing the tearaway suit.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be a pivotal part of the plot. He's doing the tearaway suit, and way in the background, Hunter's standing there in a stupid little uniform.
Diner boy outfit.
He's holding a pencil and a notepad, and then he rips off the suit or whatever, or a guy rips off the suit, and the pencil breaks in his hands.
His pencil,
Pulls out a sniper rifle.
So anyway, what I'm saying is that we're locking it in now.
Yeah.
Today, 2026. Mm-hmm. We're locking it in that we called it.
Yes.
When Hunter Fieri kills his father.
Yep. I don't know when it's going to happen, and I don't know how it's going to happen. It is going to happen.
It's going to happen.
I'm so invested in this. Truly, like, if you think we're crazy, like, go watch this show. You don't need to watch any other Guy Fieri show. You can just watch this one, and I'm telling you, every episode they're gonna drop just a little nugget of lore that's just gonna fill it out.
Yep.
I'm waiting until we're like 6 seasons deep on this thing, and we're in like the
learning
B
about
plot.
how the elections work.
We have like the B plot of like another nation's trying to invade them.
Yes.
And the only way to satisfy them is with like a fucked up chili cook-off or something.
Nuclear chili.
Yeah, like, I don't know, man. It's crazy. Anyway, so that's been consuming my every waking moment lately.
Been having dreams about it.
Mm-hmm. We can't get away from it. I love it so much. But anyway, that's not what this show's about.
No, it's not. I know we just talked for 15 minutes about Flavortown Food Fight. Great property, by the way.
Yeah.
Check it out. It's on HBO Max.
Yeah, you gotta watch this thing. Food Network, killing it.
Food Network, loving it. But it is almost as horrifying as a horror movie.
Good segue.
Thank you.
Nice. This show, despite everything,
yes,
is actually about us talking about horror movies. If you've never watched any of the other, or not watched, listened to any of the other episodes that we've put out before.
Maybe they watch them in their mind's eye.
Yeah, they close their eyes and they imagine us.
And they're like, oh, they're sitting at a table.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they're on a sofa next to each other.
We're on two separate, very comfy chairs across the room, and we each have a personal microphone. We don't. It would sound better if we did.
Yeah. There's a table in between with like a tasteful plant.
A bowl of popcorn.
Ooh,
we never eat popcorn because that's audio nightmare.
It's plastic.
Yeah, can't do that.
Yeah.
Maybe like a kombucha.
You can have that.
I don't want it. I didn't say it was open. It's just there.
But this is what the fans.
Yeah. It's in there. You can be whatever you want.
They think we're kombucha people because they don't actually know us.
No, it's a big gulp and an energy drink.
I had a Calypso lemonade today for the first time since, let's call it 2014.
Yeah.
And man, it hit.
Yeah.
And it's got the bits.
It's got the bits.
It's got the lemon bits.
It does. Real lemon bits. Proudly just stamped on there.
Yeah.
Real lemon bits.
Yes.
That's how I hear it in my head when I read it. Anytime a label says anything, I hear an extreme guy going, no added sugar.
And it's because I ate it all.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill someone.
Where's Guy Fieri?
Where's Guy Fieri? It's me, Hunter Fieri.
Oh my my god.
No, okay, so the movie we actually
Let's
watched.
please talk about this
it's the name of the episode.
Yes.
It's The Last Video Store.
Yes. So we watched The Last Video Store. This movie actually came out in 2023, but we just discovered it on Shudder. So we watched it this year.
I think we picked it kind of on vibes alone. We literally didn't know anything about this.
We honestly, like, I think in my head was like, oh, we need to pick like a really good movie to come back on. It's been a while since we put out an episode. And then we sat there for like an hour just looking at movies. Yeah. And then eventually we were like, you know what? Fuck this. Just put something on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because we spent the day like decluttering around the house.
We've
and
been
like cleaning up. And then we just were like, let's watch a movie and record. Yeah. We have time. Let's get back into this.
Yep. So let's talk about it. The Last Video Store is a 2023 Canadian horror comedy film. It was directed by Cody Kennedy and Tim Rutherford. It does have a pretty small cast list. This is a very small budget, one location, very small band of actors.
Yeah.
So we have Kevin Martin as Kevin. Mm-hmm. We have Yaya Adams as Nyla. We have Matthew Kennedy as Taggart, Josh Lenner as Viper, and Leland Tilden as Castor. Mm-hmm. Another thing I did want to mention, there's a lot of practical effects in this movie, and those practical effects were done by Steve Kostansky, who you might possibly be familiar with because he did Psycho Gorman and like a couple other things. Another thing that you, Curtis, are going to recognize him from is that he was the director of Frankie Frico.
Oh, shit!
Yeah.
Yeah!
So he's like a special effects wizard, but he's also like a writer and director.
That's actually so cool, because like we watched Frankie Frico, again, on a whim.
Yeah.
Just kind of just out of nowhere. Wild ride.
Crazy movie. It's also on Shudder if anybody's interested.
Yeah. I think we watched it because it was the Chainsaw Awards. It actually got some buzz around that, and I think it might have been for the practical effects. I'm not 100%, but I think it was. And so I decided to put it on, and we watched it. And it's a comedy horror thing. It's very, over the top and a lot of the comedy stuff or whatever, like capital C comedy, lowercase h horror. Like it's fun if you are not taking it seriously, like, at all. Right. The practical effects in that movie are really good.
Super fun. Like, they do a lot of like puppet work because it's one of those like little creatures movies.
Yeah,
like
Frankie Frico and his band are little guys.
Little guys.
But cool. Yeah, I didn't know that's really cool.
So that was cool. And then I also just wanted to shout out because I thought it was fun. There was a very like 80s synth score to this film.
The soundtrack in this movie fucking ripped. I was going to talk about this.
Yeah, and that was done by, I'm probably going to butcher this last name because I don't know if I should put some French on it or if it's just how it's spelled. But it's Brandon Boucher, Boucher, Boucher. I'm not sure.
Maybe. I don't know.
So just wanted to shout that out because this was an original score that was really good.
Yeah, it was the soundtrack kind of made this movie for me.
It was pretty sick.
Like it's so good. The movie is definitely capitalizing on the like nostalgia for like the 80s and 90s and early 2000s even video rental stores like Blockbusters, but I think a little bit more niche than that, where it was like a local town's like video store kind of a thing. Like the place that this video store is located in, like when the movie starts, it's like an advertisement for the video store, and he's saying it's like located in a back alley.
Yeah.
Somewhere or whatever. And way later in the movie we learn that like, because you might be wondering, like, how is this store even surviving in this age? Like, yes, there are, like, collectors and stuff like that, but it is truly still a video rental store.
Right.
And he drops, Kevin, the owner of the store, drops way later in the movie that it's, people have, like, basically forgotten that he's even there. And so he hasn't paid rent on the place in, like, years.
So he, like, lives there in, like, the back room, and, it's just sort of propped up by his few... he has a couple customers.
of like loyal customers or whatever.
Yeah.
But it is generally speaking, a really fun movie.
Yeah, if you're into horror comedy, or if you have some nostalgia for like analog media and like B movies, so bad it's good kind of movies.
Yeah, definitely
then,
the B movie stuff.
You know, you'll definitely find it's a very like meta, self-referential flick. So, you know, if you like that style of humor, or if you have that nostalgia and that like genre knowledge, you would definitely get a lot out of it.
Yeah, the premise of the movie being that Nyla is returning some videotapes, very Patrick Bateman,
Right.
returning some videotapes to the store, and when they return, or when she returns the tapes, the B-movie villains of those tapes end up entering the real world.
Right.
Through some mystical, magical means.
Right.
Specifically, there is this haunted, cursed
videotape
artifact thing or whatever that ends up getting put into the VCR player thing while these other tapes are in this like multi-tape deck thing or whatever, and every time the knob switches to a new one, it brings one of the villains out. And there's 3 movies that they kind of focus on, the ones that she's returning. One's Prey Stalker,
I think.
And Kevin, the owner of the store, when he puts it in, he's describing this movie as like it's like Predator meets, I can't remember what the other property that he says was, and it's, you know, it's this like callback to this like 90s CGI, you know, alien monster thing or whatever. So it's like all CGI and stuff like that. And then the second movie is Beaver Lake Massacre.
Yeah.
4 specifically. And you can tell just from the cover of it, but especially once he's talking about it, it is just Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part of this whole thing was that segment. It's so lovingly done in such a fun way. And then the 4th movie is called Warp Portal or something like that, or something
Warp-mageddon, I don't know.
It's not super important. It's the one they spend honestly the least amount of time with. He gets interrupted while he's even talking about it. But anyway, so like there's these properties, and like the monsters or villains or whatever end up coming out of them. There's a 4th movie that ends up coming up during this, and it's like an action movie.
Yeah.
And like the hero of that action movie ends up coming into the real world for a period of time. And like, I don't know, it's this movie is at its best if you have nostalgia for things like that. 80s, 90s movies, video stores, all of that stuff. The analog, you know, media in general. And honestly, even if you just like practical special effects, like there's a lot of really cool practical effects in this movie that are just like so fun when they pop off. I don't think it's scary at all.
No, I didn't particularly find it scary. But it's also, I feel like it's hard to thread that needle with a horror comedy, because inherently with the comedic moments, it kind of takes the edge off of any like real suspense or terror that you can build.
Absolutely.
So the most you're ever gonna get with a horror comedy is like gross out stuff, or, you know, just like that kind of ooh moment of like someone dying or getting killed or whatever. But you're really, at least for me, like I don't find horror comedies to be scary in the sense that they unsettle me or they stick with me.
No, I think, I mean, even in terms of this one, like the only real gross out horror that is in there is there's some pretty like intense blood that
I mean,
pops
there's
up
like
a couple
gore
of times
with the practical effects and everything.
But I've seen other movies that's like, you know, people having their intestines ripped out and stuff like that. That's like
it's
way,
not like
way worse.
Terrifier or something.
No, it's practical effects in the sense that like you're watching it, and if you're like really averse to like seeing that kind of stuff, it might upset you, maybe. But like if you look at it for more than a second, it's just like it's definitely an effect that is happening, and it is almost every single time played for comedic effect in this movie. And so it's so far from upsetting that like the only reason I think you would be like at all quote unquote scared of it would be like if you're just particularly averse to seeing like blood spurting out of something, particularly like a lot of blood
Right.
from something that maybe wouldn't spurt that much out of it. It's it's not the funniest movie I've ever seen, but there are some moments in it that, like, again, I think and you may have different feelings on this, I think the middle part of the movie where we're exploring the Beaver Lake Massacre 4, specifically Castor coming out into their world and everything, I feel like that was the most, like, thought out portion of the movie. It felt like the most realized because we spend the most time really with that segment of it, other than I think the action movie, which to me feels more like a way to, like, wrap things up and, like, move the plot forward after a point.
Yeah.
But, like, as far as Castor, like, it almost feels like they were like, let's do, like, a love letter to, like, the 80s horror, thing with, Friday the 13th and how iconic that was, and wouldn't it be kind of funny? And, like, they make references during that part that end up being, like, critically important to the resolution of the end of the movie, whereas, like, the first thing, the prey stalker thing, while, it's a monster and they have to deal with it, there's nothing that, like, happens really in that one that, like, they really learn a lesson from, or, like, they take into any of the other parts of the movie. That one just feels like it's the setup to be like, okay, the things in these movies are going to be coming out and after them. And I don't know, I just think they did such a fun job. They make fun of the whole Canadian thing.
Yeah, well, it is a Canadian horror movie, and the guy, Steve Kostansky, he's also Canadian, so I think, like, because they were talking about Beaver Lake Massacre being a Canucksploitation film, and all this stuff,
which was really, really funny.
Yeah,
there's the part of the movie that got the biggest laugh out of me was Kevin at one point is talking about, like, how the only weapon that matters is friendship,
right?
And then it looks kind of dire for Nyla when she's, like, trying to get out of a situation that she finds herself in, and Kevin is like, I'm gonna distract Castor in the only way that he knows how. And, like, he's a mega fan of just movies in general, but particularly these movies, so he just has, like, an encyclopedic knowledge of kind of how to, like, deal with any of these threats,
right?
And so it looks like Castor's about to get Nyla, and then Kevin starts talking to him like, man, I saw you play in, like, 82 or whatever.
Right.
Like,
remember
he's like
the big game?
Yeah. You were the world's greatest goalie or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's, like, talking to him, and Castor comes up to the door that Kevin is behind. They've locked themselves in a bathroom.
Right.
For reasons. And, like, he's having this, like, moment with it, and Castor walks up. Again, big hulking dude, basically,
he looks
Jason
like Jason.
44. He's got the mask on and everything, and he's wearing, he's holding a hockey stick that has ice skates put on the curve of it, so it's like an elongated, like, axe or something. Basically. It's crazy looking. It's really cool. But he's, like, talking to him, and the kind of button on this whole thing is Kevin is like, I used to think maybe we could have just been teammates. And he, like, puts his hand up to the door, and then it cuts to the other side of the door, and Castor's standing there, and he puts his hand up to the door. And it's just so good. When he's like, Kevin's reminiscing about one of the kills in one of the movies. He's like, what you did to Coach Jeffs in that one movie, man, that was a lot. And it cuts to Castor, and he's like nodding his head like, yeah, that was a lot. Like, that is so good.
Yeah. I think it was also, like, I think part of why we probably responded the best to that segment is because that's our sweet spot of, like, the 80s horror.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the other stuff, like, not that we don't like the Predator movies, because we do.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel less connected to, like, the sci-fi genres and the action genres than I do horror. And so I know less about those, and I don't necessarily, like, I'm sure some of the, like, references and things went over my head because I wasn't as familiar, but that kind of slasher 80s horror was I feel like Kevin in those moments where like I know all the things,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it is true, I think, to some degree, even though we know that the killers in those slashers are the bad guys, there is this element of you that kind of like roots for them, especially if the people who are getting killed seem to kind of deserve it in some way or another. And so it was very realistic to me, him being like, I was also bullied, and you know, sometimes like it just felt good to see you get your revenge on that. And it's like, I think we can all relate to that. Like
Absolutely.
any horror fan can probably relate to that on some level.
Yeah, and I mean, even in the sci-fi one, like, you might not get all the references or whatever. I'm certain I didn't either. But like, I think it's like when you watch the Alien movies or even the Predator movies, right? Like even those monsters, sometimes you're like, yeah, but like the people on the ship are kind of scummy and shitty.
Yeah.
So like, I'm actually okay that you got that guy. You know, there's always like the final girl, or like, you know, in Predator it's Arnold Schwarzenegger and everything, and you're like, yeah, that's the action hero. That guy's he's obviously got to be the one that like wins, or, you know, whatever. And like, you are rooting and pulling for that character, but it's like everyone else, once you kind of identify that like everyone else there is going to be like the fodder, and especially like, you know, in certain movies I think they do a better job of this than others, but like when they start like leaving you those little breadcrumbs of like, oh, this guy's actually a bully, oh, this guy, this person sucks, or like, you know, they're racist, or whatever, like they give you that permission as the audience to be like, okay, when the killer shows up, it's totally, it's
good.
I'm cool that they're beheading this person. I can wash
my hands.
Or yeah, like I'm fine with it because they do actually suck. Like that's the whole point of this.
Which I think is also why, like, kind of getting back to why I don't necessarily find horror comedies that scary. I think that also touches at why in general, like, I don't find classic slashers to be scary.
Yeah.
And I think it's because like the stakes don't feel very high, except for maybe the final girl that you get attached to.
Yeah.
But the other characters, especially in the 80s, I mean, there's all these tropes of like, if you have sex, you're gonna die. If you drink underage, you're gonna die. If you do anything that we deem like a moral failure, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of this hand waving that we all do of like, oh, whatever, it doesn't really matter that they died because they're a bad person.
Well, this is, I mean, even the way that I was just talking about it, right? It's once you identify who the fodder is here, you stop kind of caring about a lot of them,
and you're just rooting for
you're just
the
like,
cool kills. You're like, yeah, behead him.
Yeah, I mean, that is part of, especially like the, you know, old school slashers and everything, like that is part of it, is like you do want the killer to kill people in kind of stylish, fun ways, because like otherwise, if it all happens off screen, if it's all really lame or whatever, then like why do you care at all about any of it? Yeah, which is why I think there are certain movies like the original Halloween, I think is part of the reason it's so successful, is that like, yes, they set up like Laurie Strode in that to be kind of the archetypal quiet, shy, bookish girl or whatever, but she is also like, she does do drugs in that movie.
She smokes pot.
She is enabling her friends to be able to like be promiscuous and, you know, like sneak around with their boyfriends and stuff like that, which like, you know, nothing inherently wrong with that, or it's in the moral scale of like 1978, right? Like that's not nearly as bad as the teens in the house across the street all having sex or whatever. So like, but like you could argue that she is helping it, but somehow she gets away, like she fits the definition of like she gets to be okay in all of this. But I think that that's partly why it's like a little bit more successful, is because she isn't the perfect. She does have a few things about her that don't make her the perfect, you know, like clean, you know, person or whatever. And so like you do have this, oh, she's like a real person.
Yeah,
like,
she's just like me.
Yeah, exactly. This movie, I don't think sets up that really at all with any of them.
We don't really get a whole lot of character development. Like we get character development for Kevin. Yeah. But primarily. he himself is also, he's a stereotype, he's a reference. You know, he's the, like you said, encyclopedic knowledge collector who has seen every movie. He's passionate about the movies, and he's also kind of like what's the right word here? What would you say for like someone who's like kind of elitist about it? Like, I know more than you.
He's a little snobby about it. Yeah.
Like, because Nyla,
holier than thou almost. Yeah.
Nyla comes in, and the videotapes just belonged to her father. They're not hers. And so, you know, when she returns them, he's saying like, "Oh, you have some good taste," and she's like, well, "I didn't fucking watch these. These are my dad's," you know. And she's kind of the normie to Kevin's obsessive,
like
hyper fan nature.
Yeah.
And it gives, I think because of that, it gives us a clearer idea of who Kevin is, because we know some things about him right off the bat, from where he works to how he dresses, that tells us about the archetype that they were going for with Kevin. But Nyla doesn't really get that.
Yeah.
She's just kind of normie. That's all we really know about her. Yeah. And they have some relationship development in that in the beginning they kind of have not necessarily like a poor relationship, but just like they're strangers, they're different from one another, they're kind of an odd couple, and then as the movie goes along, they grow endeared to one another and they're fighting for survival together, and there's kind of this recurring theme of like quote unquote the power of friendship, also being a trope in the movies that they're using to their advantage, of like, we have to stick together because in horror movies when you split up, that's when you die. You know, so they're simultaneously using it to, you know, be a reference, another meta reference in the movie, but it's also their true like arc as two characters is developing that power of friendship. So we don't really get to know a lot about Nyla, but I mean, I guess we don't really need to, you know?
No, you don't. I mean, towards the tail end of the movie, I mean, maybe the last third of it, like, we do get, like, maybe the most significant information about Nyla and, like, her kind of backstory, which helps fill her out as a person and, like, why she's there and why she has the tapes and, you know, like, why would her dad not just... Because it's kind of a question that Kevin asks that doesn't get answered right away, is why is James her father? You know, his most loyal customer sending his daughter to return some videotapes, instead of just coming to see him himself. And so the gears start turning for you. Is like, oh, is he mad at him? You threw out, I think, a pretty early suggestion of like, oh, maybe he got sucked into this like mystical tape world or something like that, and we're gonna see him in there, and this was like his way to like try to get out or something like that. And the long and short of it is, like, I guess spoiler warning for this part of it, is you find out that the reason Nyla has showed up with these videotapes is because her father is dead. He died, and the only thing that he left her are these 4 videotapes with the, what do they call, the Videonomicon or something?
Videonomicon.
Yeah. And so she's bringing them back because, like, you know, relationship stuff with her dad, you know. Right,
she's trying to understand him. She's trying to understand why this would have been so important. That it's the thing he would have taken time to set aside for her. And in some ways it's kind of her way of connecting with her dad, is understanding his hobby and how he spent his time. So you sort of get the sense that maybe there was a distant and or tense relationship there. That maybe they didn't always understand each other, but that's really kind of the extent of what you get. And I mean, you also, like, she has character traits of a final girl. You know, she's kind of, I guess you could say, maybe like stubborn.
She's very strong-willed. Like, when she like kind of decides that she wants to do something in a certain way, like, she goes about trying to do it.
And she has a survivor mindset. Like, she isn't just, like, running around hysterically screaming and crying and, you know, whatever. Like, she's thinking about, okay, how can I get out of this?
She actively saves Kevin, I believe, twice.
Minimum twice
in this movie. And at least one of those times is, like, to her detriment when she does it. Like, she's almost about to get killed because of the choice that she makes. And so anyway, but like, so it's really cool. There's a touching moment towards the end of the movie where like they're talking when we get the reveal that he basically lives there,
right?
And he doesn't really have any money or anything like that. Where she kind of like understands, you know, him kind of now, or Kevin in this situation, and then she asks what his favorite movie is, because like clearly that's who he is as a person. He loves these movies and everything, and so she just wants to like connect with him and talk with him about this stuff. But I think also as a way of being like, my dad was Kevin's most loyal customer, so they probably talked a lot. So in a way, you know, I can kind of understand, you know, my dad a little more by like getting to know this person who was very much a part of his life, in some fashion. You know? There's a couple of recurring jokes in the movie. The whole from the beginning of the movie, there's like an ad for the video store where he's talking about, if you're a new customer, you get one free rental, kind of thing, and that comes up a lot in different ways. There's like a little gumball that falls out of a machine that says, "You're a winner, one free rental," or whatever.
Yeah.
It's fun.
And that gumball comes back many times.
It does. It really does.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that doesn't put stuff in there for no reason.
Yeah, no, they show a lot of different things, and you're like, oh, it's a throwaway joke. Like I mean, I talked about the Kevin being like, we could have been teammates, kind of a thing. Yeah, and that doesn't just come out of nowhere. Towards the beginning of being in the thing, we're kind of like seeing around the store, and he shows this. I don't think he shows it now. I think we just see it. And we certainly see it when Castor's looking at it.
Right.
There's this, like, hand-drawn from when Kevin was a child.
Right. It's holding like,
hands.
Crayon.
Yeah, like holding hands with Castor and, like, an arrow pointing to both of them that just... And above it says teammates. And he's framed this. And Kevin considers this to be a collectible.
Right, which is insane.
Which is wild. And so, like, it doesn't come out of nowhere. And then it's not even just, like, it doesn't just set up so Kevin can then have this little, like, monologue to save Nyla. That picture comes up later when Nyla is getting ready to save or try to get out of a situation she's in and save Kevin again. When Castor shows back up another time, he's holding... the image or the hand-drawn picture, and it's clear he's been crying because it's like tears
wet
stained.
With tears. Yeah.
he's been standing in a court crying over this, and it's like it's little things like that where it's like they keep putting tiny little things in that they keep coming back to, and it all connects. I think one of the most touching things about this movie, because it's a small cast, presumably done on a micro budget.
Yeah.
Love and a prayer kind of a thing to get this thing made.
I don't think a single person on the cast list had a Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
So. And
the very last shot of this movie, Kevin has gone into the movies, and he squares up to now fight this like video god thing. Yes. I don't know, some cosmic horror.
Whoever was in the Videonomicon.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. And Castor's there next to him, and they both square up like a kung fu like fighting pose or whatever. Kevin goes like, ah, and then Castor like grunts like, rah, and it holds on that for a minute, and then Kevin, the actor, like doubles over and starts laughing, and then it cuts. And I'm like, that is the kind of thing where it's like whoever was working on this movie, all of these people genuinely loved not just this movie, but all of the stuff that they're like making reference to. And like, I think you have to be in love with these kinds of movies to make a movie like this, where it's just referential to it, but not mean-spirited.
No.
Like, they are making jokes about some of these things, particularly with the Beaver Lake Massacre thing or whatever. He was like, oh, part 4 is the best one. And then, it steeply goes downhill from there. Because he starts talking about, in part 5, it wasn't even actually Castor. It was a crazy Zamboni driver or whatever. And I'm like, so they are just talking about how bad Friday the 13th Part 5 was.
Right.
I disagree that Part 4 is the best one. I think Part 6 is the best one.
Yeah.
To each their own.
But Part
4 is really good.
Great.
It is really good. And like, he's even talking about like when one of these other characters gets beheaded by Castor at one point. It's a guy that comes out of the movie as well or whatever.
Taggart.
Taggart, yeah. When he gets beheaded, his head comes off, and Nyla's screaming about it because who wouldn't?
Right, terrible.
But Kevin's looking at it in this kind of desensitized thing, and then he like kind of cocks his head, and then he's like, "It's fake. It's not real. It's not a real head." And he's like, "It's his younger brother from like one of the other movies."
Yeah, from the sequel or whatever.
Yeah, and they didn't even bother to get new props for this fourth one because they were just so cheap about it or whatever. And it's just like a rubber head or whatever that he throws in the bathtub. And that joke comes up later too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's
when another character gets beheaded, it's the same
it's
head.
Literally the same head.
Which is great.
It's so funny.
But yeah, I liked that about this as well. I felt like you can tell that it was a passion project and it was for fun. I was reading a couple of different reviews of the movie, and I wasn't able to confirm this because I couldn't, like, again, these people don't have Wikipedia pages or anything, but in one of the reviews the guy was talking about how the actor who played Kevin is in real life a DVD store owner and like dealer, and so there's clearly a lot of passion there. And the movie was filmed in a real video store.
Oh, cool.
That they just, like, used part of.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like, obviously these are people who really know their shit and who really love this kind of stuff. And I think that's why the movie was so entertaining, even though it wasn't, like, the scariest thing I've ever seen, and it wasn't the best performances in terms of acting I've ever seen or anything like that. But it was really entertaining, and it was really fun as a lover as well. Yeah. To sort of feel like, I get Kevin. I know Kevin.
Yeah. And to some degree, I am Kevin. Like, we have VHS tapes.
Yeah, we
of
do.
Old, horror movies now that we've started collecting.
We collect them.
And I watched The Thing on VHS, and it's awesome. Yep. I love it on VHS. I really want to get some Friday the 13th on VHS if they're not astronomically expensive or whatever.
Unfortunately, a lot of them are.
I think we own a couple of the Halloweens or something. Like, I think Halloween 4 or something like that.
We own Terror Train.
Terror Train. Fantastic movie.
Yeah, terrible movie, but fantastic.
And, like, I don't know, there's just, like, as a lover of that, of this media, this format, as particularly, like, analog horror stuff, but even modern horror stuff, I don't know, it's just, like, watching this movie, I was just like, yeah, man, I kind of get it. Like, it's just fun. It truly does take people who are this passionate about it to, like, so deeply understand the tropes so that they can, yes, make fun of them and poke fun of them, which we often do on this show too, but also, like, twist them just enough to, like, not only make them funny, but, like, show them in a light that, like, makes an interesting and new movie. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of this stuff is the same kind of tropes that you see in other movies, but it's slightly different, you know? I don't know. I really enjoyed the movie. And I think it's like you said, it's really not scary. I think the performances are not necessarily the best.
We can talk about our ratings.
Yeah, let's
now,
let's do the rating. Yeah. In that vein, like, scares, like I said, I rated it a 1.5. I think you rated it a 2, right?
I gave it a 2, yeah. And that 2 was mostly to reflect the gore,
Yeah, there's a couple of scenes, like there's one scene where pretty early in the movie where Kevin gets his hand pierced by the prey stalker or whatever, and when he does, I mean, it's just like a comical amount of blood that's coming out,
hit an artery apparently.
Yeah, and then, like, a very short while later, he, like, goes to sit up and he says he goes to say I'm fine, and, like, even more blood, like, comically spurts out of it. So, stuff like that. I think that the 1.5 and the 2 really reflect that. The performances are fine.
They're fine. Nothing to write home about.
No, I mean, it's exactly what you would expect out of, like, a B-movie kind of, thing.
The visuals I rated pretty high, again, because the practical effects were good. Yeah. And in general, I thought, like, I thought they were wise to really limit their set to just that small area, because it allowed them to chock it full of interesting visual details and make make everything purposeful.
Yep.
You know, like I feel like sometimes you watch these kind of low budget movies and it'll be like, oh, now they're in a police station, but it kind of just looks like an office that they rented out that they put like a certificate on the wall.
Yeah.
You
That
know?
just says police house.
Right. It's just very empty.
Yeah.
And so I thought that the visuals in general were really good.
Yeah, and I think because of that, limiting it to like basically a one location shoot, the visuals being as good as they are, and the concept being what it was, I think that lends to the vision of this whole thing actually also being like pretty successful.
Yeah, it was realized for sure.
Which
and
is like,
entertaining.
Really cool. Yeah, and it's truly it's pretty entertaining.
Yep. I think in general, you know, again, we've talked about our scale before that we use, and it can be a little bit tricky for us to represent the diversity of horror because when we have a category, one of 5 categories that is scares, and then you have horror comedies or things that we just personally don't find that scary, it's going to give it a lower score, even though it may be a really enjoyable movie. And that's just, you know, the nature of it.
Well, but I think that's why, like, we've had this kind of quote-unquote issue in the past with particularly, like, horror comedies, I think, is where we, like, have the most trouble kind of navigating that whole score thing. But I think it's typically why, like, we will say, like, the rating that we came up with is this. I do recommend you watch it, though.
Right.
Because, like, the score, the average score, combined average, whatever, might be a little low, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't watch it.
Right.
So.
And in this case, Curtis gave it a 6.3.
Yeah.
I gave it a 5.8, so we had a combined average of 6.1 for this. Which, again, more than half out of a, you know, this is out of 10. So it's a pretty good score, especially for a low budget, you know, very independent film.
Yeah.
But I think, again, there's a certain audience for this movie. I don't know if everybody would enjoy it. I think if you don't have a lot of that nostalgia or a lot of the, like, genre knowledge, this may not really be that fun for you. But I think if you're a fan like we are, then it's definitely worth a watch. And in general, we've said it before, I'm sure we'll say it every time, I like to support smaller creators and smaller movies because I think all of us are tired of getting like the same old shit.
Blumhouse. If you're listening. And I know you are.
Yeah, I know. But I think we're all kind of tired of that, and there's only so many like woman in the window in the house movies that we can fucking tolerate.
The Woman in the Yard.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Clown in a Cornfield. I don't think that was Blumhouse. I think that might have been a Shudder original.
That was a Shudder original.
That movie was
and
bad.
I read the book that was based on, and the book was fun, but I didn't like the movie.
The movie was bad.
But anyway, I think it's important to support smaller creators because they are innovating and they're doing things that are different, and they have fun, original, and fresh ideas. And unless we as the audience support them, these things don't get made. And so, you know, even though this may not be the movie for everybody, I'm glad we talked about it. I'm glad we watched it.
Yeah, me too. I think watching these indie projects, I think, is maybe the most fitting way to describe it. Low budget, not necessarily B-movie, but close kind of things. I think it gives me the closest vibe to, if you have watched any of those like documentaries about older movies, particularly like old horror movies and stuff, it was kind of this like almost Wild West of movie making, right? Like, you hear so many stories about the people who were doing these movies, hearing that the producers were getting on a plane and going to be like touching down the next day, and then like the director gets off the phone with them and says, all right, we're pulling an all-nighter because they're going to be here tomorrow and shut this down, so we have to finish this now. And everyone being like, cool, let's do it. And like coming up with these cool practical effects for one shot that's like a second on the screen or something like that, and like coming up with all these things. And these movies give me the same feeling that like watching some of these older ones gives me, where it's like these people are truly inventing like new stuff, or like, you know, they really appreciate these things. And it's like you said, like, I think this stuff is really important. Not that I think all horror is important, you know, generally speaking. Cannibal Holocaust maybe aside, a Serbian film aside, maybe we don't need those ones or whatever. But like in general, like all horror.
Sorry to the edgelords out there.
Yeah. In general, all horror is like important. It generally has like a statement to make and like something to say, and you know, like there's all these effects and stuff like that. And a lot of people get their starts in horror movies and then they move on to other projects. So like horror is a big deal, and if we stop paying attention to things like this, or we stop watching things like this, or whatever, we don't talk about it, then yeah, I mean, it's like you said, like, you know,
these things die.
They die. They go away, and then like we're stuck with the 8th, you know, remake of whatever, or we get like terrible spin-offs from like a half-baked concept to begin with, you know. And
to kind of continue along the same thought, because we haven't had an episode since this happened, talk about a cool year for horror in that we had so much representation at the Oscars this year.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it.
You had Sinners, you had Weapons, even The Ugly Stepsister had some stuff. Was The Substance this year?
I don't know. Was Nosferatu? Nosferatu was like late.
No, Nosferatu was the year before. Okay. And that also got representation.
Yeah.
But I've been very excited in seeing horror be mainstream and having good horror being recognized for being not just good for horror, but being good movies.
Yeah.
You know? Like, because there's kind of this attitude that horror is like, it's a lesser genre, and so even if it's a good horror movie, it's still a horror movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
But seeing something like Sinners be so successful and just a genuinely really fucking good movie, if you haven't watched Sinners, that is worth a watch.
Sinners rips. It's so good.
Yeah, I've seen it like 3 times because as soon as it came to HBO, I started watching it again.
Yep.
Having these things be mainstream and be successful is so good for horror. Like, I'm really excited about what's in the future for horror, because also consider the things that are getting Oscars are not the Blumhouse, you know, shitty half-baked ideas with poorly executed, you know, visuals or whatever it is. It's the things that are different. Sinners is a bold, unique concept with a unique voice.
Yep.
And Weapons was a unique concept with a unique voice. Like, these are things that were pushing the genre and genre bending and doing it flawlessly. And that makes me really excited, because it's telling producers and it's telling studios there's a hunger for this kind of film.
This is what people want to see.
Yeah.
And hopefully what they take away from that is giving, like, green lighting more horror projects from, you know, bigger directors, smaller directors, anybody, you know, just coming to the table with ideas, you know. And again, they're not all going to be winners, right?
Sure.
Like,
but that's not the point.
But and it's also true for every genre of movie. I've seen some really bad, you know, crime movies.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, action movies, and those things get made all the time.
All the time.
Superhero
all day
movies,
long.
you know, like, whatever. You have stinker of Marvel movies, and they keep cranking those out.
Yep, and they will for as long as they possibly can.
Yeah,
you know.
So, anyway, I think it's just really exciting. I think this is just it's a fun movie. If you have Shudder, or I think AMC Plus, I think that includes Shudder.
If you can add AMC Plus onto like a lot of different mainstream subscription services, and you get a lot of the Shudder stuff, because they're. I don't know what their relationship is, but they have some connection. There's also Screambox, which I've never personally subscribed to, but I know it's another horror streaming service out there, so that's another one.
I'd have to look into it. I've been pretty happy with Shudder.
Me too.
So far.
Shudder, if you want to sponsor us, we love you.
I do love you.
We've
Shudder.
paid you so much money over the years. Thank you for what you do.
Even though I was just ragging on some of your Shudder originals earlier, but like whatever, you're allowed to make some bad ones.
You get to make some stinkers.
Yeah, you're allowed to make stinkers.
Yeah, no one's saying that we can't make stinkers. We just want.
I like being able to talk about the stinkers too.
Yeah, stinkers are great.
Stinkers 2 way better than Stinkers, by the way. It's rare that a sequel,
but not as good as the Stinkness. Which was the reboot.
The reboot.
Yeah.
They did a reboot after 2.
Yeah.
They said they did Stinkers 2, and then they said we got to scrap the whole universe, start again.
Start again with the Stinkness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're waiting on the next one in the Stinkness franchise.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, do you have anything else you want to say about that?
No, it's a fun one. You should definitely watch it. We almost did, instead of this, we did recently watch, VHS 85. Was that
85, I think. Yeah.
It's 85. VHS 85. Longtime listeners of the show will know I don't think this is overstating it. I hate the VHS movies. I think they are universally bad and not really worth a whole lot of my time, and yet I have seen most of them. I think we actually tracked it down, and I think there's like 3 more that we need to watch.
Right.
Which is unfortunate for me because that is 4.5 hours that I'm gonna have to commit still in order to put this all behind me. But anyway, we did almost do that, and then we realized that the last episode we did before we took a break was VHS Halloween, and thought better of the idea of doing 2 episodes back to back where you come back and I'm just ranting about how much I don't want to watch these anymore, and yet I will be continuing watching them. And I'm over here
like, bloody disgusting, please don't excommunicate us.
Bloody, give me a budget, bloody disgusting, and let me do it. And then if mine sucks, and because I'm not so full of myself that I'm saying let me get on there that it's gonna like absolutely blow this stuff away.
Right.
I've never made a movie before.
Sure.
Well, not a full-length movie. I was in video class in high school, so I think I know what I'm kind of doing. Anyway. But I'm saying...
Starring Jack Black, my classmate.
Yeah, exactly.
And it all comes back around,
it
baby.
All comes
That's
back
one
around.
of the rules of improv.
Chekhov's gumball or whatever. But... just give me a budget, and then if mine sucks and everyone's like, hey, you should never be allowed to even talk about movies anymore, then I'll be quiet because I'm not allowed to talk about movies anymore.
Right.
And I'm a law-abiding citizen.
Okay.
Anyway,
That's that on that.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe saying that they're not worth a lot is maybe a little harsh for the VHS movies.
I know, we just went through this whole heartfelt thing about how we have to support small creators.
And I am supporting it because I'm watching them all.
That is true. And we are talking about, we're platforming them.
Yes. I'm saying I don't like them, but my voice is not necessarily the voice of the people on these because it seems like I am, in this one instance, I am in the minority here. Everyone else I know that's seen these movies.
How does it feel as a cis white man?
Huh? I don't know.
Minority.
It's fucked up. When people are gonna think about me? For once. Anyway, so I'm not gonna spend any more of this episode talking about VHS. Yeah. I don't like it. You don't have to watch them, but you can. I don't care. Yeah. Do what you want. I'm not your dad.
I thought 85 was the best so far, but.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. We'll talk about it in another episode.
Apparently, we are going to do all these. I think here's my pitch. I'm gonna run it by the audience right now.
Yep.
We're gonna watch the rest of the VHS films, and then we're gonna do one total overarching episode where we rank all the VHS films within the franchise and talk about them.
I'm actually cool with this because it probably means I get it out of the way that much faster.
Yeah.
I'm still being open-minded about it. I went into VHS 85 being like, the reason I put it on, if you remember what I said before I put it on, was if any of them has the best shot of being good, it's gonna be this one because this is right in my little zone.
Yep.
Right in my little hole.
Gross.
Right in my movie hole.
Yeah. VHS 85 went right in my little hole, buzzed around.
And got out.
Got out. Yep. Got in and got out, and got in and got out.
The last video store, though, great. Did what VHS 85 could only dream of.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. So, it's time to wrap this up. If you want to connect with us, you can find us on social media. We're at First Fright Pod on Instagram and X.
Yeah.
You can also send us an email. It's firstfrightpod@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. I guess, let us know your favorite analog VHS, era horror movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm
what's
always
what's your go-to B movie or your favorite so bad it's good movie?
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be horror, by the way, because I think very similarly action movies also have, because they touch on this in The Last Video Store, that there is I think a decent bit of overlap. Oh, one last thing. Sorry to touch back on this. They also kill a snake in this movie, but they do a CGI snake, so it's okay.
Yes.
They fully blow a snake's head off this
with
movie,
a gun.
which is wild.
So take
the
that.
implication in this one that the snake is his partner. It's not even implication. They fully say it's his partner. And this movie is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And I need to see whatever action movie this is because I would love it.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
Anyway, but just your favorite, old movie.
Yeah.
But not like that old.
Not like Casablanca.
Yeah, I don't care about that. Whatever. What does that bring into? What has that ever given anyone in the world? Gone with the Wind, more like Gone with the I'm Asleep. So.
Yeah, nailed it. Got its ass.
Catcher in the Sky.
Because I am sending you to heaven when I kill you.
Just kidding. You're in hell now.
Oops. Is Catcher in the Rye a movie? Isn't it a book? Did they make a movie?
I don't know. It's old as shit, isn't it? So they probably made a movie out of it. Hey Siri.
You're just naming stuff.
Hey Siri.
You don't have an iPhone.
Catcher in the Rye movie. There's no authorized movie adaptation. A movie from 2017 called Rebel in the Rye.
Oh.
And it's got it's the story behind The Catcher in the Rye. So it's like a documentary.
Uh-huh.
So.
But it's not old.
It's 2017. That's
oh, okay. So we're classifying.
So
what's your favorite movie from 2017?
And earlier, but not earlier than about 1970. So,
okay, so kind of a narrow window.
1970 to 2017 is a pretty good range.
Okay. We're not watching anything pre-1970.
Maybe 1960.
1960 now.
Yeah.
He's changing his mind again.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I have that privilege. Learning.
Wow, he's so self-aware.
Yes,
somebody give him an award.
Self-aware king. I dropped this.
My pronouns are he, not him, because I'll never be him.
Anyway, I think that's it. As always, scare well, and see you next time.
Goodbye.
Hold it. Keep going. Keep going. That was really good.
Thank you.
That was really good. I mean, that was like close to 20 seconds.
Amazing.
At least.